Welcome to Trading Lounge and the daily US stocks for Wednesday, November the 23rd. As you can see here, we've got jobless claims and flash PMI coming out today in next session. Now, with the US dollar, we're seeing as wave 3 here, an A and a B and a C as we're working through yesterday. We can see we're looking for the turn. So that's while that's happening, we're seeing the the rest of the world push up basically in terms of indices and stocks and commodities and so on. So we're going down from wave 4 to wave 5 here. I just want to have a look at this here. That was on the 3rd, 4th of November to the 9th. So that there's a weekend in there. So that was like 4 days, that move here, right, for wave 1. So that will, because extensions in wave 5, wave 1 and wave 5 here will have some sort of relationship. So we can expect this to go on for 4 days, but obviously you got Thanksgiving as well, so we'll need to accommodate that in a way, but that just gives us a little bit of timing on everything, you know, to go from wave 4 to wave 5. And in the same instance on the S&P, we're going from wave 4 up to wave 5 here in reverse. So that's where we are. So yeah, Thanksgiving and the Friday, only half a session on the Friday, I think. So yeah, I'm not sure about about the timing with those events happening, but anyway, it should be pretty clear that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. As I mentioned with this is that we could have wave C up, an ABC up here, and we've got a top in play for this, or we can have wave 1 up here as well with this. So we're not sure if to be bullish or bearish after this. Anyway, I'll just wait and see what occurs with this. So we'll just go 1, 3, 4, and 5 up here. We know there's some options up there that will give it the resistance, and then also too, we're looking for if it's going to be bullish, then we'll just be looking at it going long at this point, and this will be a nice classic trading levels pattern as the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the ABC pattern, and then getting triggered over this side over here. Now we'll be able to improve on that, but it's just that point is kind of special because if that moves up through here, then it forces this to be corrective. And if it forces that to be corrective, then it will take out the top, which is also validating that it will move higher. Yes, we can get better positions in here, and if we get an impulse wave to here and a pullback, we can get in here, all of those things. But at the same time, we also need to look at the retest here in 3 waves and on lower volume. And we could also look to short on, if this is an ABC pattern here, we can short on the B wave and look to go to the downside as well. So we'll just need to be a little bit open-minded about how we approach that situation. And a lot of the stocks will be the same as well. So starting with Apple here. So as from yesterday, as you know, we're looking at wave 3 and wave 4 here, and then wave 1, and I'll put in a little ABC here, and then we're going up for 1 and 2 here, and we'll be pushing up for 5 waves up into wave 3. We've got 1 and 2 and 5 waves up into 3 and 4, and then up into 5 here. So once again here too, we'll also be having, when you think about it, we'll also have we'll call this the arrival, we'll call this the first high above the level, and then we can also look for, on the bullish side, we need to look on the bearish side as well. We can go long here for longer term long, you know, for trend trading, and then we can also look to be on the short side here, obviously from this point, but also from in here as well, so we can build on this side. So this is, we're just really using this to, you know, take positions in all of that on, you know, for the distance. The rest of this in here is just short-term trading, so you should be just you know, have wider stops, put less money in the market and wider stops, and you'll be much more successful. Okay, so let's cruise along. So with Nvidia here, I'm looking at it in two ways. Yesterday we were looking at it like this here, but I've had a bit of a rethink about it. I don't think we're just going to go to here and then down again at that point. So on the 100, we could do, but it doesn't really matter. We wouldn't short it unless we were under this level here, right? So the other one for this, which I sort of prefer on the 100 ticks, is that we have another high to make here. So let's just, is 2K enough? Yeah. I've got to keep this in here. It helps me when I do the editing as well to know what stock it is. So yeah, looking at a wave 3 up here and 4 here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 here and 2, and then 3, 4, 5. So moving up higher at that point. Okay, so if you wanted to go long here, we could look at this as, just get this in here. We can look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, the A, B, C for 2 here, and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it could be the third there. Anyway, use the 160. Look for a classic trading levels pattern along the 160 and buy the pullback, any pullbacks that come back into. And also too, the other numbers are in here too. When you were looking from 50 to 60, it'll be 1, 2, and 3 for the levels, and then 5, and then 8. And when you're talking about 8, you're talking about group 2. So it'll be 1, 5, 156.50. So anything buying back at 156.50 would be excellent, and then 157.20 and 58, 158. All of that there is going to be the support area for all of this pattern that happens here. Okay, so you can look to go long on that. And Amazon's a bit of a different fish in a way, because we've had a deeper move down through here. So the time that the other stocks make new highs, Amazon might struggle just to get to this point here. So I'm a little bit unsure about what to do here. I know that you can go long. It's starting to get, the interesting point here is that when we talk about 90, which is the medium level, we've got 1, 2, and 3 that make up group 1. And you can see here that it was obviously the resistance, but now it's poking its head up there and it's getting support, isn't it? So you'll get the little, here, you've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and then there'll be a little retest here, and then that will push up. It should have a pretty straight run. You see how it has a pretty straight run here. The markets normally move quite quickly between the numbers 3 and 5 in both directions, so it should move up here quite nicely. So looking to go long, somewhere in this space would be fine. It might just be a little bit slow to move, but I can see that the I might even be able to, that might not even be, might need to label that wave 1 here as well, and have an A wave further up here. I'm just not quite sure about this market. It could turn bullish. One of the things I like about it in terms of bullishness, even though it's been moving down, you see the angle that's been moving down? It's not like it's been moving down, so it's like reluctantly moving down. So yeah, it could be okay. Okay, so meta platforms. So we're looking for this wave 4 up here. Now, it's possible to put wave 4 over here, but it just doesn't count as well. So I've been counting it up as all of the A wave here, and just being a little bit mindful of things. So I was looking here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the A wave, ABC for the B wave, and yesterday we were looking at this moving down. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for that now. And I think that's all okay at that point. It makes an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave for this B wave here. And now we can look to the upside. I don't have a very clear 5-wave move up here. It's like it's in 3 waves, so it's like that it wants to have another low here, but I think I've accounted for everything in here in terms of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, and then this 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, and this 1, 2, not so good there. But if that was only 3 waves, that should be 5, and it's not. So I think I'm okay pegging that in there, but just to be mindful of that, there could be one more before this happens. And also on the bearish side, we've been looking at it as wave 1 here with a wave 2 here, even though it's not there, as 1 and 2, and then also here as 1 and 2. But yeah, so you know, there's been a lot of rumors about tech stocks being, you know, sacking lots of people and all the rest of it, but really, you know, it's not such a big deal, really. They're not their growth is slowed, but you know, when the pandemic came, their growth just exploded, you know, and so now they're just sort of winding it back a little bit, that's all, but they're still growing. There's nothing sort of wrong with them as such. Obviously Meta is making some internal changes, and that's you know, that takes intestinal fortitude to do that, and you've got to take your hat off to him in that regard. And yeah, so you know, he'll end up coming out of the gate into the next technology world one step ahead again as well. So yeah, anyway, let's see. I mean, as far as I can see, we should be pushing up into this space here, but I'm just a little bit unsure about this. It's probably not the best long trade to take at that point. Rightio. So Netflix is another one, a little bit like Amazon, where it's come down quite deep, and I've been counting it down, as you know, as a 5-wave structure. So that's where we are at the moment. I don't think this one will be the best. I mean, better off going for Apple and those sorts of things, you know, for on the long side. This one here, I mean, I think it's going to make it up here, you know, and have a bit of a bounce off here, but it's moved into its 61.8%. It looks like it's got sort of 5 waves here. I don't think it's going to be it's not going to be a stellar performance up into this area because of the weight and the distance that it's traveled down here. Could certainly be wrong, and it could bounce back, but yeah, I think that there's better momentum. There's no momentum in this one to the upside. That's probably the best word. So there will be better ones around. So Enphase here is going good. We can now move the stop to this level, to this low here. I'll just remove this. These tops here will probably make a bit of a problem over here, and every time it's hit those tops, it's sort of come back a bit. So yeah, but I do want to keep on building this here, because in a way, we wanted to get you may have a position down here as well, and a position here. The idea, I mean, normally what I try to do, it's never a perfect world, is when I see a level here and I see that the market's bullish, and I wasn't that sure that this one was bullish because the rest of the market still had a lot of bearish connotations around the world, you know. So, but the general idea is to get a couple below the level, small positions, even one position split into 2 parts, and then start to build on the 300, then onto the 10, then onto the 20, and then we'll go on top of the 30 as well at that point. So getting a position up here on that, on the 30 here. And then what we've done, when you look back at this later on, you'll look back and you'll go, okay, yeah, we got in at the beginning of the trend somehow. We did all that right, you know, because we can add on top of the 50 as well, and then we'll start peeling off into the 400 here. But depending on what this looks like, you know, I mean, we should end up with this wave 3 here, 1 here, 2 here, and the wave 3 should be here. So this will be the arrival. In terms of the classic trading levels pattern, this will be the reaction here, and then this will be the first high above the level here. So we can trade up into this, get out. We just watch the wave forward, don't make a move in it. But that's what people do, most folks do, is that they'll make money in this trend, out of this number, and then they'll give it back to this number. So you don't touch wave 4 until it's fully matured, and you trade less in a wave 4, and then we could probably trade up here a bit further into probably 430 or something. I'm just guessing at this point with all of this, and then that's the end of it. Then we wait. Yeah. Anyway, all going well here. So the next step along here really is that we want to, in your own way, you want to add on top of once the 20 becomes the support here. So in this case, probably the easiest way to understand it is just waiting for that first high above the level, wherever that may be. And remember, with the number, with 10, 20, 30 here, between the 20 and the 30, you've also got all the levels in there as well. So you've got, when you think about it, you've got populates. So you've got 1, 2, and 3 that make up group 1. So if we just, this is just a bit of exercise here more than anything else, but so if we give that some definition, so then you'll have 1, 2, and 3 here, and 5, and then 8, and then group 2, 126.50 in there, if you can nail that down, and 127.20, close enough. And I always just give that a splash of red because it starts to get a bit crowded in that space. So you know that if we get support on top of group 1, you know that we need to be long from that point, right? So you could also scale in through these, build in smaller positions through here if you wanted to handle that risk there as well. So one way or another, you need to, anyway, there's many roads to Rome, so to speak. So you need the first high above the level. So these are highs above the level. This is a high above the level. But the retest here, see, they never got it on the retest. You got it over here. This was a classic trading levels pattern. The arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level. The retest came in, and then it took the top out here. This one here didn't take the top out on the retest, so it was a failed retest. So the retest, every leg is important as the next one. They all make up the whole. So I mean, most people just focus on the breakout, but the retest of the breakout is they're all in, everything is connected. Everything is important. So in one way or another, you have to figure out, is that number being tested as support? Is it confirmed? And if so, then you can build in it. And if you're unsure, then you can build in through these levels. I mean, obviously, doesn't bother. The bigger the trader, the less everything matters. So to speak. But with small retail and small fish, all the details have to matter, because we don't have large amounts of funds to do things. Okay, so that's that. And okay, with Tesla here, I want to look at it in two different ways. I want to look at it in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And so as you can see here, we'll be quite bearish here. Now, while the other markets are doing their rallies at the moment, we're going to see Tesla pull back up into this wave 2 here, and then come down for wave 3, 4, and 5, and continue to move down. So we've got wave 1 here and 2 here. So wave 3 is going to be, down here somewhere, and then we'll have wave 4 and 5. So, way down here. That's one way to look at it. The other way that we're going to look at it too is having a low in place here. So we did this yesterday on the 1K tick here. So going from 50 to 1K. So it's just something that, because if we've got a bullish market, then we need to, understand things here. So this is a different way to count it. From this B wave, in the last image that we just looked at, we had wave B over here. In this case, we got it here as 1 and 2. And then we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for the third wave, the fourth wave, and the fifth wave here. So in this case, we can have a low in the market for Tesla. So two totally different things here. Now this trend down through here, we'll take a look at that in a moment, but I'm thinking about calling this in as the low, as a low here, and that means it would have a rally here. So we're either going to have an ABC back up here, and that means that we can look to short it here, or it's going to give us 5 waves up here, and then if that was going to be the case, then we would wait. If we do get 5 waves there, well, then we'll buy the pullback here, and then we'll build a case on the long side over here, right? So we'll be looking at it in 2 different ways. So just on this leg here that we've been working through on the 100 tick chart, this is it here. So we can look at it in a couple of different ways. It's still very bearish. It's not, doesn't have that low in, but it should do though. We've got 5 waves up here, unless I need to put the B, put that over there. Anyway, what we'll do, we'll get to that in just a second. So we've been counting down here, just for the folks that want to double check everything. So I was looking at this as 1 and 2 and 3 here, and 4 here and 5 here for 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 3rd wave, 4th wave, and then counting this down here as the 5th wave here as 1 and 2. And the 3rd wave comes right to here, so it's 1 and 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the 3rd wave, 4th and 5th, the 3rd, the 4th. But what I might have to do here is, obviously this is coming, I mean, I had that nice impulse wave here, and I thought, okay, well, that might be if the other markets are going to push up, then this could push up as well. It's not the end of it yet, it still could be the case. So we could still come to this point here, but it does look a little bit softer while the other markets are moving. So we may just get this as, it looks pretty bearish, doesn't it? It looks like a 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and so on. It doesn't look like an ABC. It doesn't looks, I mean, for a way, basically the size of this here, right, from the top here to here, is much bigger than this little move here. So we'll probably have to look at this and put this over here and look at this as the spike mucks it up a little bit, but an A and a B and a C up here for this. So we may end up looking at this coming down here again. We'll just leave it and we'll see. It's not like we have to do anything with it at the moment, you know. It's in group 2, so group 2, 65 here. So if the 65 becomes the resistance here, then it's just going to drop down to the 150 at that point, because this is all of group 2 here, 65, 72 and 80. So if 65 becomes the retested resistance, we'll see it further down at 150. But otherwise, let's just give it a little bit of time, and I'll just put this back here, and let's just see how this goes. But I'll also just put this up here as well. It's not finished. So yeah, I mean, this is another one like Amazon and Netflix that you wouldn't really trade long on this, because it's under a lot of pressure here. You know, folks would probably think that Elon would need to sell more, may need to sell more shares to float, to keep the wings flapping on Twitter. So anyway, there's no long trades, no momentum to the upside here on this one. You know, you're better off going with Enphase or something that's moving along a little bit. So with well, Microsoft and Google, they've kind of got the same, they kind of move the same a little bit, so it must be the same players in there. But yeah, so yesterday we talked about shorting this in such a way that we would wait for the first low below the level, and I think we had a green line here. I did remove it, but you wait for that first low below the level. So that would be the short trade setup now for that. So that's something, if that gets breached now, then you can short that. But I also want to continue to have a look at this as the A wave, the B wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I know it doesn't really work in that regard as an ABC, but it does look a little bit corrective. Let's just see if we actually get pushed up to here in line with the other markets. And then we can look at this as a classic trading levels pattern here again, in case we need to look at this being bullish over here as a wave 1 to the upside. Yeah, so it won't be like with all the markets, it won't be until this develops over this side over here that we'll either be going long or we'll be going short. So I'll be taking that concept pretty much across all markets. This is Microsoft here as well. So with Microsoft here, we also looked at this being looking for the short trades here. We had it here, and then we've moved it over here. It can pretty much stay there at the moment like that as well. So you can short that there. I'm going to remove that though, and it's probably likely that we're going to be heading up into this space up here, and hopefully we get a first high above the level. We'll look at it as wave 2 or wave B, but we also need to look at it as a wave 1 up here as well. Once we can work out that we've got 5 waves in all of the markets that are doing much the same as this, then we can look to go long above these highs over here. But even, it's just going to take a little while to get this sorted out over here. We need this leg, we need this leg, and basically we need this leg here. Now we could do some shorting in some of these and do bits and bobs for the day traders, but for the trend traders we really need to wait for that top there. Now we can improve on that, and the same on the short side as well. Anything under a 3-wave move, we can also look to short anything under a 3-wave move there as well, because anything beyond 3 waves would be bearish at that point. That's a little bit like we're doing here. It's a little bit odd here, I have to say. It's very not very good here, but we started with this. We waited for that one to come into play, and anything below that we can short, then anything below that we can short, and then look, okay, it didn't get triggered as a short trade, but it kept us safe, so that's the safety is more important than doing wild risks. Okay, so old Bertie's off and running here. So yesterday we counted a little 5 waves up here. We don't need that. This was another case of possibly moving to the downside, but we counted 5 waves up here and it's all moving. We probably talked about going long as well on here, so that's all good. Yeah, so the target will be 320 up here, and we'll look for 5 waves, but we're not finished yet in all of that. And with block, I'm not really going to make a decision until I understand if the bigger market is bearish or bullish, and that would include the banks as well. So with the banks, we're looking for a move up. So we'll probably get a move up here, but I don't think we're going to make a new high here. There's too much momentum to the downside here. I can only count 3 waves down here. I could probably squeeze a little 1, 2 and 1, 2 out of the top here to get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for 1 and back for 2 and then down at that point. But I still don't want to touch this. I know, I can see, we can get the tops and bottoms okay, but I don't understand the count yet for this. So before we make a call on it, I want to see if the S&P is going to be bearish or bullish, and I want to see where the banks are. I want to see where PayPal is, and so on, before I make a sort of a trade on this. So with the banks, I won't go to the intraday, but as you know, over the last wee while, we've been looking at this as a wave 4 here, moving to the upside here. All it needs to do is take out a top here. Obviously this market is sitting in group 2 at number 8 here. We always call 8 a profit taking number as well, so the bids get hit, and that's what's happening here. It's still supportive within group 2, because if we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8, and we'll talk about 8, we talk about group 2, so 3650 is the lower end of group 2, so it's sitting in group 2, it's supported in group 2, so it's okay sitting there. So we'll still look for a move to the upside for BAC. JP has made a bit more of an effort today to move up, so we're looking at wave 4 to wave 5 up here somewhere. So that's all going good. You can be long on banks, that's all good. And the same with old Goldilocks here, that should be pushing up into 400 at that point. So that's all moving there as well. Trade less, wider stops. And that's it. So thanks for tuning in. Cheers.